Okay guys, so I'm back because a notification popped up from Michelle After Dark. And this is a creator, and she's affiliated with another group, sort of, but it's one that my bestie has watched well before this for other cases. And so after my bestie, a couple months ago, and told me to watch this lady, I have kind of watched Michelle After Dark's videos. Bestie's not wrong. The dogs running in the field, always pretty relaxing. So I kind of keep an eye on her videos and watch Michelle After Dark most of the time. Anyway, the other day, and honestly, she's one of the only ones I really see that seems to try to puzzle things out in a logical way, and doesn't do it in a way that's really, it's unlike the other ones. And so, anyway, she actually seems to be trying to puzzle things out. But the other day, she had posted a video where Dawn and others had, said blatantly that, from very early on, that Summer was not inside, even though that story keeps changing. And I'll tell you that, without how or why, that I believe that to be true as well. Summer was not inside of that house. She was outside. In this morning's video from Michelle After Dark, she's puzzling over why Candace would have said this and the other, why she locked herself into, and I mean, she's not far off, and it's things I've stated in my videos very early on. In this, I think the same thing Michelle does. It was to look better than, but also because the CPS visit was the next day, and also because Michelle's not wrong, and it's also something I've stated in my early videos, that this has happened prior with one of the other kids, and I think that maybe Candace thought all the neighbors would find Summer like the other one had been found fairly quickly. And I think she lied because she thought, well, if the cops do come, well, Summer will still be found pretty quickly if the neighbors don't, and it was one of those, also didn't really want to say that the boys were up there and stuff to try to protect them, because I think she thought that Summer would be found fairly quickly, and it would be, oh, well, we might be in a little extra trouble, but not much when CPS shows up tomorrow for the other shit. And maybe we'll leave the other kids alone. I think there's several reasons why she tried to make it look like whatever at first, and I think locking herself into maybe a timeline that's not right. And if if the scream holds, if my timeline holds, then that would be, 4:30, 4:42 to 6:08, about an hour and a half difference from, the time she vanished. And I think Michelle and half the world are right. I think Candace did not have eyes on her for that long, had really no clue where she was at. I think it does boil down to that. And I mean, honestly, been better off saying that from the get-go to a cop and going, hey, my kid was playing outside, we live in Illinois. That would not have been unusual, quite frankly. But I think that she wanted to present the best possible, because DCS was showing up the next day. There could be many reasons for it, but that's always been my theory behind it. But still yet, because of other things that were said to me in the first few minutes as Candace and I initially made contact at the bottom of the driveway and right there at the creek area, and other things that were said to me that day, the puzzle goes far deeper for me, and especially with what's being done lately as far as that Facebook video chat that happened between Candace and I, and her wanting me to change my story and an audit money, and that bullshit call to the feds that have her and Keys written on it, and then that hoax on the Hill dinner and all these things. I mean, it makes me think all kinds of things. However, that I didn't initially think in the beginning necessarily, and it makes me doubt all kinds of things. And there's things I'm still not going to touch on, give specifics on, but I will say enough to say that Donna, and I hate that because, obviously there's some bus throwing under there and all kinds of weirdness and abuse on that level, but, yeah, Summer was not in the house, and I think Candace did lock herself into a timeline. I think 90% of that bullshit with the flowers, I'm with Michelle. I think details were given to make everything look better, like the piece of candy and the this and that, whatever the hell else. And from things I know that, like I said, I'm not going to say, I don't think anybody knew, except for one or two, that I don't think anybody had any freaking clue where Summer actually was, but I think that Candace thought she'd be found in short order, just like I mentioned forever ago in other videos about the other one being lost at one point and everybody having to find them, and they were non-verbal at the time. I think she thought it would be Summer found in short order by the neighbors or by police, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it was that big of a deal, very shortly. And then I think even this continuing bullshit could just be normal behavior patterns, right? For them. Because dog dumping's no big fucking deal over there. Losing kids is no big fucking deal over there. Kind of used to that shit, I guess, and then at a certain point, there's no, to them, they're basic people, so to them it's like, well, yes, Summer's probably gone, and one way or the other, and so we might as well profit and play games that, entertain us, and pranks and calls and all this other bullshit, and no big fucking deal, right? And now them, the pranks, bullshit, the money matters more maybe in a way. And they know there's really no chance in hell of the other one's ever coming back. And, Summer's, so continued pattern even if they didn't have anything to do with it. But I'm only really saying things here before that I've said months ago in other videos that are harder for people to piece and part together because, hour or 2 hours, my jump in my spiderweb brain. But, Michelle's saying exactly what I've said for months, just in more linear, easily digestible fashion, right? But I think Candace thought it would be Summer found shortly, still took a risk in calling that day. And that's not the way it turned out. And then if that noise, the scream, it had something to do with it. If that holds, I mean, who the hell knows? But still, yet, there's still something wrong with the dogs. There's still something wrong with all kinds of things. And what the hell the puzzle is, who did this, why, whatever, it still remains. But, and even yet, I mean, there could be reasons for all of that same behavior, either way, it's cut. But to me, that first day, it's what it seems like. And because, like I said, other things I know that I'm still not going to say, but I really, really, truly believe she was outside, just like Dawn stated as well on several interviews, and yeah. And for reasons I won't say, but yeah, definitely outside. And I think Candace locked herself into shit. And it's a conversation Candace and I had, at the bottom after Summer. I was like, well, look, I'm sorry my shit might break your shit, but that's just the way it is. And she never really touched on it, which is what I found odd about that Facebook vid chat between us. Is like, she'd never asked me to change my story or to do anything like hers until that shit. And then winking on it money. Now, you could tell she was digging for somebody and doing something. And worried about her own teeth and this, and it's like, what the fuck? And that's why I said, like, dude, if your kid's missing, it's like my own. They're all, like, jacked up because of radiation. My kid's missing. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna... hell be damned. Like, kid first, teeth later, money later. Like, what the hell? But definitely digging up shit at somebody else's past during that vid chat between us. Definitely more worried about money, but, maybe it's just the type of people they are, and all these things just, which is worrisome, quite frankly. Because to me, if you have people that can hurt animals, you have people that can dump them and do what I've seen done. If you have people that are just like, oh, well, kid's gone, and can play all these pranks and cons and games, do they then fall somewhere on the psychopathy scale high enough to then pass lie detector tests easily? And that's something I've often thought of. And I know that some people, can do that, but her face that first day for me, just like, it was like, no way. But now that I've watched her lie to me and have larger tears the other day on that vid chat than once she had that first day, and all these other things and pranks and shit they've pulled along the way. And then knowing the other night I watched her face on that live chat with Benny Keys get on there and be all super smug and shit. Yeah, have Andy call me. And there's another prank and a con like a 12-year-old little girl. And I mean, just, it's gross and disgusting. And then if they're behind, and I know they are, I know somehow they're behind that call to the feds after they called them and didn't know what was going on, and then to do the vid chat with me 3 days later because nobody bothered telling me anything. To twist and do that to target my children and I is just a fucking gross ass thing to me. But that's another level of game, and I doubt all kinds of things across the board at this point. And I don't know what the hell to think. But I know now that heel is just, I've always known, but dude, this is an entire level of different screwed up. But Michelle After Dark is one of the only ones I've actually seen trying to puzzle through this. And I know that it's often that she actually does bother watching videos and things, and she'll find things that I say and this and the other, and then be able to put them into a more linear fashion, more digestible fashion, to where they're easier for others to digest and to follow along than I can make things. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that, I'm not very short-winded. And my brain works a little different in patterns and spider webs and connections. But, yeah, she's not far off, I don't think. And I know that, all kinds of things have casted all kinds of stuff into doubt for me. The behavior recently off that hill. What they're trying to do, what they're trying to use Andy for. It's gross what they've done since, that I absolutely feel inside my soul and pick up little pieces of, because when they're the only ones on earth saying it, and then it comes to me in the form of feds not, like knocking at the door prior, and then 3 days later here they are digging in skis, and then the same bullshit, because they don't know what's happened with their bullshit calling and these hoaxes and all these prank bullshits, even on his sisters, who I know aren't lying, because I knew this from the first posts they made online that weren't written for them, because they knew enough about Utah that I knew they weren't lying. And I never doubted him. But then Don himself turns to me as we're in our pals, and he's more worried about watching himself on YouTube and stopping that one night because he had taken me to town because my car was going to go off the cliff. So I gave him money and stuff to buy dinner and gave him like $20 for everybody he'd done an interview. And he was more worried about watching himself in that interview than anything. But he turns to me kind of distracted after pals, and he's all like telling me about how, yeah, he did that to his sisters. And then it's like almost the last thought, after he says it, and it's been a couple minutes, and he's driving all erratic and trying to watch at the same time with the volume and everything. It's like an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, but it was their fault, and they were trying my dad too, and I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, buddy. But I just don't know what to think most days. But I know there's damn sure somebody that did this, and I don't know who that is. And I don't know, nobody takes a little girl to take her to Disney World, and that's the fucking truth, and we all know it. Nobody's done that. Which is why that bullshit with Chase is a way to shut me up. And then it gets out as like a leaked phone call to Tiffany a week later. But by that point, I added it on my Facebook. So I guess I was psychic. And then that fucks up the fundraiser and Chase's superhero image. And then it helps shut down the second fundraiser. And it was going international with Chase. And then, coincided with the Friday timeline I was given to be quiet and just shut the hell up, and offered more money, then threatened, and Squall Tick comes out with the stolen videos that Benny Keys had freaking asked her to steal and was definitely digging for him, and then you have Keys up there involved in this bullshit on the hill, and the only ones parroting exactly what the feds had come here for. Y'all can, I mean, it's so fucked, y'all, the whole thing. But, it's so weird. But yeah, Michelle After Dark is at least trying to puzzle it out in a fashion that I don't see her asking for super chats. But she's able to take pieces and parts that, I've said over the months and put them together in a form that is more linear, digestible, and can fit quickly and can put the picture together quicker for people that need it more easily digestible. And her dog's running in the field to make my morning. And, so I usually, but today's video of hers, I mean, she's not far off track, for sure. But how am I, that is, whether it's, I mean, because it's the thing, I could be wrong, I've always been open to being wrong. That's great, I don't know how, and the kids could be, that sound, that scream, it's just telling you guys, what an animal. It wasn't Candace, it wasn't this and that. I mean, it wasn't waiting after it to see if there was another noise, because if it was, you'd think a kid would cry, you'd think there'd be something like, you think of your boys, and like when kids are playing, you'd think that right behind a noise like that, you would hear, "Don't tell mom," or you hear the second squall of like, "I'm telling," or them bickering or arguing, or a further cry, or somebody, and none of that happened. And I know it wasn't my other neighbors, I know it wasn't their dogs, I know it wasn't a cat, it wasn't any of those things. But I do have questions even still, like you think, into the driveway, and that's been proven that it could be on videotape. But like I said, that sound to me from the main road also comes that same way and sounds almost exactly like where that one does. That freaking cow, And that cow's all the way out on the freaking main road, and there's still a damn manhole cover I'm looking for. But I can't go down there, I don't know where that's located at, but I know it's a damn circular one. And it has to be in the grass. Anyway, and that could be just as simple as somebody passing, dope off at 3 or 4 in the morning. I don't know. There's so many weird things that I know and I don't say, and I just... But either way, Michelle After Dark, I don't think she's far off the mark about why Candace, no matter which timeline. There was definitely Eyes Off Summer for a while. Whether my timeline holds or whether it's more fitting with Candace's, but I don't think it is. And I think there was Eyes Off Summer for quite a while. And, even if you dismiss all these stupid games, pranks, and monetary gain now to be had by them because, they are the types to just be like, oh well, dogs, kids, doesn't make shit. And then to play games with me and target me and use my abuser and all this, and here I was like, even if half the time I was like, so I still gave a shit enough to be like, y'all okay, whatever else, yeah, this is how you clean a wound, do not put a heating pad on that. Like, for fuck's sakes, here's a nipple at 3 in the morning. How you gonna repay that? Whatever, because you're salty. Because I'm telling the fucking truth, I guess. Just whatever, but I don't think Michelle After Dark's all that wrong. I mean, obviously, because it's stuff like I've said in my videos for months now, but she's able to put those little pieces together and do it in a more digestible format. So, anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say about it today before something slips or end up saying shit I don't want to say. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, so I've said since the beginning, if the timeline I have is correct, then so be it. And I don't care which timeline's what, honestly. I mean, I think there was eyes off Summer for a while. And I definitely do not believe she was inside of that house. So, and this is definitely not the first time one of the kids went missing. But at first I did believe the look on her face, but now because of what Candace has done to me and the faces I've seen since that were more convincing than that day, quite frankly, I have my fucking doubts. But whether, I mean, I just don't know about that, and only the cops will tell time, but I know the shit that's been directed at me off of that hill and still, especially after watching her face the other night, get joy. Have Andy do this and have Andy do that and helping BK do what he was doing. And then I figured that's what the laugh was and the mention of BK during that Facebook video chat between her and I that night. She was obviously digging and lying, and whoever she had behind the scenes there didn't want them to know. But then in the past few days, she has given keys, minding the kid's location, that she was fully aware of, that I played stupid about. Man, something wrong in Denmark, but you don't play those types of games. And if you're playing those types of games just to profit or be petty or to get back at me or to shut me down, even if it's detrimental to your missing daughter's case, I find that a little fucked up, quite frankly. Because I'm not lying, and I have no reason to lie. And I'm not going to change my fucking story for anybody. And I know the last place I saw Summer. And, you know, but after all these months, to ask me to change my story, you know, I don't. And for that one piece that, and I don't get it, because, like, that was something others had already let online. I mean, others had seen Dylan in the shower and knew of him being in the shower Summer. So when I said it, maybe it's just that they thought it held more weight than other people, like, say, Prayer Garden or Jenna or all these others. But, you know, for some reason it was taken as, and that's the piece they wanted me to change. But then a winking nod at money in her teeth, which also line up with the messages released by Cher, if those are real, because you have to doubt around that camp. But the date and time line up with what, you know, all that. So it's a really screwed up situation. And I just don't know, but I don't, for me, what's happening after casts more doubt on everything. And had Candace never done any of what's been done recently to I and my kids, and especially with Benny fucking Keys, I would have probably maintained that her face and the way she behaved that first day was legitimate. But after all these pranks and all the bullshit they've pulled, and, you know, I mean, and in this sick ass shit here, I don't know what to think of them or this. And, you know, the more it comes into play with the, well, you know, and I've always had that thought. Honestly, in the back of my head, it's like, I know how they are with animals, I know how they are with this, and it's like, and I've always known that fact to be true about certain people scoring certain ways on that scale that can pass lie detector tests. And it's always been in the back of my mind, and not something I've really stated openly, but the more they do these things, the more I wonder, openly. And I also wonder about certain contacts with certain people, and how certain people have locations that I know about that they shouldn't know about if there was no further contact between them or that hill in those first few hours or days. And it makes no sense to me, and it's part of the piece I'm trying to track down. I don't know. It's a whole convoluted mess, but I'm going to hop off here. Make this one short and sweet. Maybe people can digest it simpler. I don't know. But Michelle After Dark seems to be at least trying to puzzle stuff together. So, there you go. And it seems to be she actually may be watching and listening to videos and taking pieces and parts and put them in an easier and more digestible format. So, but yeah, my doubts grow, but still, with people like that, it could just be as simple as regular patterns showing regular behaviors. Still nothing actually nefarious other than as simple as money or whatever, when you know that nothing's coming back and you don't really care if it does or not. I mean, you know, like, I guess at a certain point, doesn't matter. Still doesn't mean they're guilty of doing anything to Summer. Just means that the continued behavior of maybe not the best people. And it still could be two things can exist simultaneously, right? Somebody could have legitimately took Summer. Who, why, how, don't know. Doesn't necessarily mean they're guilty. You know, but, yeah, you know. I don't know. And I don't know the answers. I wish this shit I did every day. But I gotta tell you, I don't appreciate the stupid little games coming from there. And I don't enjoy the smirks on people's faces as they think they're like, oh, we're gonna get back at JodiSue by weaponizing her abuser. And I don't enjoy that. My children don't enjoy that. And to, help this person escape their own abuser half the time and all these other things, and then her to do what she's doing is 3 levels of fucked. Especially when my own children are involved, you know. Like, doesn't matter if they hurt them either. Because what the fuck's it matter when I guess you can profit off of harming all kinds of fucking children, or who cares, right? I mean, I guess when you give about as much of a shit as you do about dropping off dogs, I guess you think other people probably feel the same about their kids. But my kids mean more than anything on this earth to me, so. And they know that, right? So that's why you continue to target. But their thoughts aren't, well, it traumatizes, it hurts. So, either way, short and sweet. So, there you go. I'm gonna hop off here now.